Yeah, that's the dream most of us are having right now about beautiful rains as we gradually see pre-monsoon showers making their way into some parts of the country. But as history and our shattered dreams of beautiful rainfall, when expected, not showing up in the last few years, have taught us, rainfall has thrown its schedule out of the damn window. I mean,
what's up with the rain, yeah?
Today on the Climate Change Dictionary, we are talking about erratic, irregular and inadequate rainfall. India experienced severe heat waves that broke several records this year. And these heat waves were harsh and we were largely underprepared. Pan-India warnings were released and advisories were given out. What made things even worse is power shortages and no electricity supply in several cities across the country. But why were March and April so unusually hot this year, and what led to these heat waves is what we explained in our last video, so go right ahead and watch that first. A little revision first. A heat wave is supposed to be broken by a spell of rain. Usually we see pre-monsoon showers in early summers, which this year has been late, which became a primary reason for such extreme heat waves. But why is rainfall all over the place? Well, like most my answers, it is climate change. Pre-monsoon showers are delayed in most parts. Even July and August are dry. In small pockets, the rainfall is higher than ever and there are floods, and there are unexpected spells of heavy rains even in November and December. And while to us, it doesn't make much difference because mostly it impacts our traffic jams to work, our vacation plans and our pakoda appetite, it makes a huge difference to the farmer whose entire produce, livelihood and sustenance depend on rainfall. And India is largely an agrarian economy. More than half of our population is engaged in agriculture. This means either you are or you come from a farm family, or someone in your family is a farmer, or someone you know is definitely. And if someone asks me, farmers are any day better climate experts and have been for years, with their eyes and hearts to the ground, looking up in the sky and knowing how the clouds will function. They might not talk in the words that scientists do, but they are acutely aware of how climate change is altering their realities. Like a farmer once told me on a reporting trip somewhere in UP, earlier the rainfall would be more gentle, regular and evenly spread out over the months. Now it rains fiercely for a few days and then it goes dry. And this actually does more harm to the crop. And this is exactly how rainfall in the Indian subcontinent has been lately. Fierce and intense for the first few days, causing floods, giving us the impression that maybe it rains a lot more now than it did earlier, but in reality, the monsoon rainfall has decreased by 1% on an average every decade for the last 6 decades. So rainfall is now far more uneven than ever and more unseasonal. But what role does climate change have to play here? Let me increase my speed and quickly give you 2 lines. Global warming caused by terrible human activities over the years, like polluting our air, led to increased greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which in turn made our world very, very hot. Our global temperature right now is 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial levels, and this heat is at the root of all of this. But this means more heat, and that should have led to more rainfall. But along with greenhouse gases, we also emitted a lot of aerosols, which are basically really tiny solid particles or small droplets just floating about in the atmosphere. These kind of cancelled out what the heat was doing and reduced the rainfall, causing monsoon deficit. But going ahead, our average rainfall will increase, but so will the intensity and tendency of more localized heavy rains called heavy precipitation events. And moderate rain events will decrease, especially in India, according to the most important report on climate change, the IPCC assessment report. This is really bad news for us because these moderate rain events are critical for the well-being of our farms and fields and all agricultural produce. India is the 5th most vulnerable country to climate change in the world. 600 million Indians, almost half our population, will be directly impacted by rising heat. And the most vulnerable here would be our coastal and farm communities. And how are the levels of rainfall and monsoon and the factors that cause monsoons changing? And what does that have to do with these cyclones and strong winds in India is what we will discuss in our next episode, so keep watching.